What's good, IDP Army? It's your man Jordan Rains at 50 Shades of Drunk. If you are on the Twitterverse, and we are rocking today. It is week 2 IDP fantasy football rankings. Also going to do some IDP updates on some injuries. Quickly go over the waiver wire. We did put the waiver wire show up yesterday. If you're listening on the podcast, that's already up. If you found us on YouTube, that's already up also on this channel. So, but like I said, today, week 2 IDP fantasy football rankings. We're going to get those cracking for you, IDP Army. Got a banger of a show. As always, want to thank our Patreons. They make this show possible. They keep supporting the channel. They keep the lights on around here. If you want to support us, you can go over to the Patreon / the IDP Army. You can join any of our 3 tiers there. We have YouTube memberships. And if you don't want to do that, leave us a thumbs up. Give us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast, wherever you wear. We would appreciate it. It would mean a lot to us. You know, you support us, we support you. It's how the IDP Army wins. All right, so let's get it. Also want to quickly say thank you to our sponsors. Underdog Fantasy did the Underdog show yesterday. It was a good show. Put a couple of my favorite over-unders up, which I'll show you all those real quick here because they were still up this morning. Amon-Ra St. Brown over 60.5 receiving yards. He hasn't been under 61 receiving yards since like week 11 of last year. So I put a higher bid in on that. I think that's a pretty good one to cash. And then I also put a lower on James Conner rushing receiving yards. I just think that this offense is going to struggle until DeAndre Hopkins comes back and they can start to move the chains the only way that Kyler Murray has effectively really done it since he's been in the league with a guy like DeAndre Hopkins. James Conner will probably get some work, but again, I don't know that he's going to have enough offensive play time to hit this number. He's only gone over 80 yards once in the past like 4 or 5 games. I was just looking at that. So those are the picks that I went for. If you want to check that out, Underdog is a great place to do that. And then quickly run you guys down on our schedule for the rest of the week. Offensive Points will be on tonight. I'll be hosting an AMA on Twitter Spaces. So hop on there tonight. That'll be around 8 or 9 Eastern, just depending on where you live. Tomorrow, we'll do a little pregame space for the Thursday night game, maybe do a little underdog draft for the Thursday night slate. And then Friday, going to come back on, do another underdog draft. We love underdog. Billy will be dropping his next week's college football rankings. He'll be doing his picks. He'll be doing his power rankings, talking about some players over there. And then Saturday night, we'll have the live stream. Sunday morning, we will have the live stream answering your fantasy football questions, IDP, offensive related, whatever. We don't care around here. Mostly IDP, all fantasy football. That is the brand of the IDP Army. So, got all the housekeeping out of the way. I'm going to put on the ticker at the bottom here some of our favorite waiver wire targets. Like I said, that video has already been posted and that podcast has already been recorded. There's also a list up on the website, idparmy.com. You can go check that out. We have some waiver stuff up there. Week 2 rankings are up there. Articles are getting posted up there. We're doing a lot more this year, but because we got a good team behind us. Shout out to Bomber. Shout out to the OP guys. Shout out to Mace. We're having a lot of fun. And shout out to you, the IDP Army, everyone that supports us, everyone that watches. Even if you don't, like I said, leave a 5-star rating or review. Even if you aren't on our Patreon, even if you don't even leave me a thumbs up. If you don't do that, you suck. But it means something to get a play. You know what I mean? It does a lot for us, for our credibility. And it means something to me that you, and to the rest of us, honestly, that you would come to us for information. And we take pride in putting out good stuff. So we thank you. We appreciate you. It doesn't go unnoticed. And hopefully we can help you win some leagues this year, which is ultimately the goal for all of us. Quickly, a couple of pieces of news before we jump right into the rankings. One, looks like TJ Watt is going to be able to come back this year. So thank God for that. As a Steelers fan, after the game he was having, it was incredible. Looked like he picked up right where he left off. Maybe he's even better. Hurt his pec. Looks like he might be at about 6 weeks, 7 weeks before he comes back. So, 20 sack season still on the table, right? Am I right? All right. Anyway, prayers up. Hopefully he gets back soon. Jamal Adams, serious knee injury. Surgery incoming. Go pick up Josh Jones. I did not. He's actually right here on the ticker. I didn't have a chance to put him into the waiver wire show yesterday. So if you watched that, you didn't hear about him. Josh Jones, I was kind of high on him last year when he was with Jacksonville. Now he's going to be playing that Jamal Adams role. He's going to be a really good pickup for you if you can get him in this week. Your waivers might have already gone through. Just go look real quick. If Josh Jones is out there, he's a player you want to get on your team to replace Jamal Adams. And I don't know if Jamal Adams will come back this year or not. I really don't know. They haven't given out a lot of information yet. First, they said it was a quad injury. Then they said it was a knee injury. So similar leg, but those are different. So I need a little more clarity, and understanding before I drop him or anything crazy like that. All right. Well, I would never waste your time. Number one. What's good, Anthony Ballister? But I will go ahead and jump us into the show. So we're going to start with the defensive line rankings today. Like I said, today's show is going to be IDP rankings for week 2. Probably won't go super duper duper deep in depth. Again, it's only week 2. I only have so much information to give you, but we were able to parse a little bit from this last week as far as players that might not be seeing the playing time we'd hoped, players that are on the way up. There were some injuries, things of that nature. So going to review that. And if you want to get updated rankings, they're updated on the website, idparmy.com. Feel free to go over there and check those out. I've actually, even since the graphic that I'm about to pull up right now for you, I have updated them since, and I have brought Sam Hubbard down. I just haven't been able to make a new graphic before I did this. So, all right, let's jump into it. We'll start with the defensive line rankings for week 2 IDP fantasy football. My top 12 guys right now are Nick Bosa, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, Shaquille Barrett, Sam Hubbard, and Max Crosby are my top 6. Now, the player I did move down is Sam Hubbard. I have him pretty high here, but I did move him down to, I think, 12 or 13 in my actual rankings on the site. Reason for that is just I think it's a good matchup for him. And, I think it's a really good matchup for him, actually. But the reality is Sam Hubbard's upside, absolute upside, just is not very high. So I want to get him into my lineups this week, definitely. But I'm a little bit more hesitant to trust him than I initially was. He gets Dallas this week. We know Dak's out. We know their offensive line had trouble. We know that they just look like they're in trouble. So this could be a good game for Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard, both of who played 90+% of snaps at the edge this last week. That's a lot of snaps for an edge rusher, and they're going to want to get right game after my Steelers put the whooping on them. So we'll have to see how that goes. Nick Bosa is my number 1 guy this week. He gets Seattle. Geno Smith did get sacked plenty, so I'm not worried about that. Myles Garrett, I mean, again, it's going to be pretty chalky. Some people might say, why do I have Shaquille Barrett so high? He does do relatively well against New Orleans, even though they have a good offensive line. Again, he has a lot of upside that a lot of other players maybe just don't. So 7 through 12, I have Cam Hayward, Robert Quinn, Cam Jordan, Alex Highsmith, Chandler Jones, and Montez Sweat. You won't see Zadarius Smith or Danielle Hunter here. They are just outside. The reason for that is they get to play Philadelphia this week. And, I watched a good bit of that Eagles game and Detroit game because it was just a really fascinating sort of game. I thought it was just an interesting game to open the season to see those two teams go against each other for a myriad of reasons. And what I saw was from Jalen Hurts, was a really, really good quarterback who can get out of sacks. And there was a decent number of pressures put on by Detroit, honestly. And even though I think that Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith are obviously better than the Detroit pass rushers, I don't think that the upside for a huge, 4, 5, 6 sack game is really there with kind of based on the elusiveness of Jalen Hurts. So you won't see them on the top 12 here. I will bring them up in just a moment on my top. They are on the top 24 still this week because of the players that they are. Cam Hayward still very high. Robert Quinn, disappointing week this week. I'm not going to bring him down too much in my rankings just yet, but I want to see how things play out this next week, basically. So let's go ahead and see, and I'm pulling up from the website now. This is my 13 through 20. We have Danielle Hunter, Zadarius Smith, like I said, right outside that top 12. Aaron Donald, he gets Atlanta, and again, another mobile quarterback. We did see some pretty slippery moves from Marcus Mariota this week. So I just don't know if the upside's really, really there. Hassan Reddick came down a little bit this week and kind of a quiet week this last week, but I'm still believing in him on the season. And honestly, I think you should too, unless something, really, really strange or odd seems off, but we'll have to monitor that. Josh Allen in a good spot this week, obviously against against Matt Ryan. He's pretty much a statue, and he has good games against Indianapolis. So Khalil Mack, I brought him up on the 2 weeks ago before the season even started, and I wrote about him. Actually, I didn't write hardly anything this year, or I hardly wrote anything this year. But one of the things I did write was I could see Khalil Mack having the best year he's had since being on the Raiders this year. You can go check the website. I said that, and I said that on this channel, and it's just because I don't even remember really why I felt like that. Well, no, I do remember. It was because of Joey Bosa. Like, he's going to, for the first time in his career, kind of be considered the second best pass rusher on the team, even though he's probably not. He's probably the best because his reputation may have taken a little bit of a not a slide, because we still know he's a great player, but he didn't impose the kind of fear for Chicago that he did for the Raiders. Maybe I think he had 10 sacks at most for them, and he was there, 4 years, 4 years, gave him a lot of money. He immediately goes back to the West Coast with the Chargers and has the first 3-sack game he's had since being with the Raiders. There's a spark in him that is going to be big this year. And so I've put him up my rankings. 18 this week feels a little low after the week he just had, but it is Patrick Mahomes. Their offensive line is good. And even though Patrick is kind of statuesque at times, he's no Jalen Hurts. He's no Lamar, but he can get out of stuff. You know what I mean? He can he got a little wiggle to him. I guess that's the is that the scout term? He got a little wiggle. He got a nice wiggle to him. All right, let's go ahead and keep rolling through these guys. Emmanuel Ogbah put up a nice week this last week. Joey Bosa, I do have him lower than Khalil Mack. I just don't think he's as good of a player as Khalil Mack, I'll just be completely honest. DeMarcus Lawrence, DeForest Buckner, Matt Judon, then Brian Burns coming in down here. Again, kind of chalky. These are all guys that you're going to want in your lineup. And I tried to put them in the order that I think they kind of have the most upside. That's kind of how I did rankings this week. And again, I did consider some floor with I still do have Sam Hubbard here at 5 in my next ranking. I'm going to lower him a little bit because I don't think he has the true upside. I might put Chandler Jones would be a candidate to go up several spots up here by Max Crosby because of the absolute upside. So just to give you all a little idea or key into my process, shall we say. So let's move on to defensive backs for week 2. Right now, my top guys are Derwin James, Harrison Smith, Kenny Moore, Minkah Fitzpatrick, Jordan Poyer, and Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones made me look real good this last week, coming off with a monster game, had a sack, forced fumble, multiple pass deflections, a lot of solo tackles, looking very, very disruptive, very good. If you drafted him, good on you. I mean, he's going to be a great player for you, and he could have been somebody that went under the radar in your leagues. Like I said, I picked him up a week and a half before the season in my highest buy-in IDP Dynasty League, where we start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We start 8 IDP players. He was on my waivers. So that's money in the bank, baby. I'll take it. It's only week 1. Calm down. Can't victory lap too much. But kind of chalky here. I don't really have a whole lot to break down. Some guys that went down a little bit this week. Antoine Winfield went down a little bit this week. And not because I still don't think he's going to have a great week or anything like that. It's just I'm starting to, I believe a little bit more in some of these matchups. Like Kevin Byard against Buffalo, I really could not put him in my top 10. Buffalo's going to move the ball a lot. Kevin Byard is a very, very good safety. Tracy Walker, I like that game. Carson Wentz kind of stuck it to me this last week, moving the ball very effectively, scoring actual football points, like 4 touchdowns. Like, I was talking all that shit, and he went out there and got it done. So if they can keep moving the ball, it's going to give guys like Tracy Walker, who had a great week this last week, more opportunities to score you points. So I've moved them up. Both of them were just outside my top 12 last week. I think they were like 13 and 14. Now they've moved up a little bit. Jesse Bates, was good to see him out there, putting him right back up into my top 12. Was a little worried about how the Bengals would handle that situation with his contract and how he would, play. Dax Hill getting, drafted, I was just not sure what to think. So I had him, I think I had him lower until my mid-20s this last week, maybe even near 30. But I think he played 97% of snaps this last week. So I put him right back up there. We know the kind of player Jesse Bates is and can be. And if Joe Burrow can get it going this week against Dallas and put a little pressure on, Jesse Bates rather, is going to be able to do some of that ball hawking that he has been known for throughout the league. Then Kyle Duggar had a good game. Xavier McKinney, nothing overly special or crazy about their games this last week, but against Carolina, I think they're going to try to establish a little bit more with Christian McCaffrey this week, honestly, which is going to open up more opportunities, I think, in the center of the field or, closer to the line of scrimmage. And we might get a little bit of a bump from McKinney this week. Did anyone watch the whole Panthers and Browns game? That's watching this. I'm curious. I missed the first half basically because it seemed like it was going really slow, and then suddenly Kareem Hunt was exploding. I saw Nick Chubb was moving the ball, and then all of a sudden they kind of came back. I saw they lost Carolina, but did Baker, what do we think about Baker? I'm very curious on if there's anybody who's watching the stream right now is a big Carolina fan or ex-Baker fan. I want to know as someone unbiased or even your biased opinion. I'm curious. That's just a little sidebar there. Sorry. Let's get back to the IDP rankings. I'm going to pull up my defensive backs through 24 for y'all. Let you get a little peek-sees at those. Bada boom. Bada bing. All right. So like I said, Xavier McKinney, we just talked about him. Winfield moved down just a little bit. Oh, wow, they have him in here as a corner on I did see that actually. I don't know, was it him that was playing more corner this weekend? I don't remember. It might have been he that was in the slot a little bit more. Jeremy Chin played 100% of snaps. Love to see that. I know he's playing a little more deep this year. Buda Baker had 20 points this week. I probably need to move him up just a little bit. I knew I'd moved him out of my top 12, but 15 might be a little bit too low. I'll probably move him ahead of Chin. Yeah, I might even move him ahead of Baker or Winfield this week. Trevon Diggs, we saw Joe Burrow throw plenty of interceptions this last week. I still think Trevon Diggs has kind of that game-breaking week ability for you. If that defense is on the field a lot, he's going to be, at the very least, have tackling opportunities. Jalen Thompson, Terrell Edmonds, sneaky play this year. I didn't rank him as high as I probably should have. I'll be completely honest with y'all throughout the offseason process. But he has been improving a lot as a player for the Steelers, which has been nice to see. I think against New England this week, again, should be plenty of tackling opportunities. I don't see anything going too deep down the field. He's pretty much your typical sort of box safety. And kind of chalky here towards the end. I will point out Logan Ryan did get dropped a little bit. He played like a lower 80% of snaps. I think it was like 83% of snaps this last week for Tampa Bay. I don't know if that's going to be a normal thing or not, but I had to just, adjust a little bit for that. I still think he's a great safety option. Javon Holland, love him, top 24 guy. Jonathan Abram was out there, and he was making some good plays out there for the Raiders. I was kind of surprised that the Raiders, I don't know, they didn't play Mooreg as much as they did last year, and I kind of thought that we might see a switch in that safety situation. Guess I was wrong, but we'll monitor it this week. Until then, I did move him up. I don't think I had him in my top 24 last week. Then L'Jarius Sneed, one of my favorite sleepers from 2021, had an okay season. Starts out the season this year against Kyler with a massive game, so I'm throwing him back up there. Slot corner. Looks like they have him listed as safety here too on Fantasy Pros, which I did not realize. So he gets the Chargers. I might have to move him down just a smidge, even though I like him a lot. I think I might go Tyrann Mathieu over him. Anyway, let's continue. And if you have questions, please throw them in the chat. I actually see a couple of people have. But before I get to those, I'm going to go ahead and finish out with my linebackers, and then we'll finish up with the questions at the end. So stick around. Okay. LBs for this week. Number 1, the King Supreme. Just kind of get used to seeing his name at the top of everything for the rest of forever, ladies and gentlemen, because Micah Parsons he's the real freaking deal. Played 100% of snaps, okay? And then he was rushing the passer like a madman. He got to Brady twice. It's not easy to get to Brady, and he made it look easy. And again, playing 100% of snaps, you get tired. There's a reason the edge rushers come off the field and they rotate. That's because, that's that fast twitch. Their bodies, they fatigue. They need to, you get all, you replenish you drink your juices over there. You get your Gatorade in, you get your sugars back in you, and then you can snap, you pop a little bit more. Micah Parsons, he don't need to get off the field and get a drink. He doesn't need to leave the field and get a drink. He just goes. He just goes. He got that Max Crosby in him, okay? So he's number 1. I got Roquan at 2, Devin White at 3. A lot of people faded Devin White in this last offseason, and, because he didn't get the sacks. They're like, oh, he didn't get any sacks this last year. Is he going to come back? Blah, blah. I mean, things go up and things go down. But good players that have a known ceiling, when you've seen them do something, they can do it. Comes back this week 1, gets 2 sacks. Love to see that. He's going to continue to be a top 3 to 5 linebacker probably every week. Cameron Grugier-Hill. Okay, this is a funny story. I'll just tell y'all. So I was, this offseason, there's 5 I have CJ Mosley, and then 6 I have Jordan Brooks, for everyone who's listening on the podcast. Now, this offseason, I had Christian Kirksey pretty high in my rankings, and I also was, caveating that a lot with, Cameron Grugier-Hill, also played a lot, could be either or, but it's kind of sticking with Kirksey on a lot of my focus. And then this last week, when I did my rankings, I had Kirksey at 11. I was like, okay, I did, for whatever reason, I did not double check where Cameron Grugier-Hill was for week 1. He was buried in my rankings. So my process was right, technically, I guess. And I'm not even by lapping it, but I think it's just funny that I was so high on Kirksey and he ended up not having a great week. But the same or similar linebacker in a similar situation, his opposite, his mirror was actually pretty good. So going forward, I still like Kirksey and Cameron Grugier-Hill, but I definitely brought KGH up quite a bit. CJ Mosley played a ton of snaps. He looked pretty good this last week. I think there's even more upside available for him. There was a lot of the pass rush and the pressures they were bringing from the Jets. Their defense looked pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, just as an overall unit, I was actually Lamar is Lamar, but there was a point in that game where I was like, I don't know, are they winning this battle? And then Lamar, uncorked a couple of 50-yard bombs, but close to the line of scrimmage, with that linebacker play, with that, those new safeties that they have, and Carl Lawson being healthy, Big Q up front. They're scary little defense over there. 7, Foye Olakun, 8, Bobby Wagner, 9, Devondre Campbell, 10, Demario Davis, 11, Logan Wilson, and 12, Eric Kendricks. I'm not putting Jordan Hicks in front of Eric Kendricks yet. I know he had a down week, but he's still the primary linebacker there, in my opinion. Demario Davis moving up into my top 10. Something I've noticed with him over the last few years, he does play a ton of snaps, but he floats usually game to game in like that 85 snap range. You don't see a lot of Demario Davis games generally, or I haven't, where he plays 100% of snaps. Played 100% of snaps this last week on the road in week 1. That makes me very bullish on him for the whole season, because if we see, because he's been a tremendous linebacker. He is. Gets behind the line of scrimmage, a lot of tackles for losses, always has multiple sacks every single season. But he's been under the, like that 800-900 snap range. But if he plays a lot of snaps this year, if they play him 100% snaps or close to it as their primary linebacker, and he keeps up a general pace of what he has throughout his career, as far as impact plays, tackle rate, defensive play rate, we could be looking at a really good season for Devondre Campbell. So I have him moved into my top 10 this week and be watching his snaps closely, because we get another week of 100% snap share. And he gets Tampa Bay this week too, who loves to run Leonard Fournette. Brady has been known to get sacked. So I love the upside of Demario Davis this week in particular, but overall in the season, I think that if you drafted him mid to late, you might be getting a really, really, really high-end linebacker for the rest of the season. And then we'll go ahead and finish out the top 24 linebackers. Let me pull them up on the site real quick for y'all. And like I said, if you want to check out my full ranking, go to idparmy.com. Follow us at the IDP Army on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're all over the place. We out here. All right. 13, Christian Kirksey. Levante David at 14. Shaq Thompson at 15. I'm actually probably going to have to move him down, because I did see that he wasn't the guy who was wearing the green dot. It was this guy has a weird name. It's like Luvu. What is his name? Franklin Louvu. Was not very aware of him before this last week, but seems like he is going to be a linebacker we're going to want to be paying attention to on the Carolina Panthers. David Long came in at 16, Miles Jack 17, Jerome Baker 18, 19 Nick Bolton, and then 20 I have Cole Holcomb. It was a disappointing week for Cole Holcomb, but I don't think that's going to be how the whole season's going to be. So I still have him top 24. You should be playing him. Jamin Davis did get a little more run this week than he has in the past, so maybe something to watch there. But I'm still don't completely fade Cole Holcomb because he had kind of a down week. That would kind of be my note there. Jordan Hicks, top 24 guy this week. Cody Barton completely wrecked me this week. I lost by like a quarter of a point in an IDP only league due to Cody Barton on Monday night. Shout out to Jorge Edwards at Fantasy and Frames for getting the win. Divine Diablo, I did move him up into my top 24, and then I have Fred Warner at 24. Of the players here, I know I really would like just, I kind of harp on it a lot. Nick Bolton, I really like him on the season. And then Cody Barton, I didn't talk about him a lot on this channel because I brought it up. A lot of other people did. Looks like he's the real deal. Looks like he's the business, as they say. What did he come through with last Monday night? It was quite a performance. I know he had a sack. Where are you at? Yeah. 8 solos, 2 assists. So that's 10 combined tackles and a sack. Yeah, he got me. Over 20 points in IDP 1, 2, 3 scoring. So I have put him up in top 24 with respect. Could be a really, really, really productive season from him. Because we saw Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks be amazing last year. Cody Barton seems like he is filling in one of those roles fully. I did see he got a little banged up on one play, but we'll monitor that. We'll see how that goes. But if you drafted Cody Barton late, kudos to you, fam. You looks like you got yourself something there. So, all right. That's my top 24 IDPs at all 3 of the major positions for you. Let's take a look at what the fam is saying in the comments. One moment, sorry. Okay. Adams came up holding his knee after the play. Yes. Brandon Jones season. Let's hope. The Wentz shade was unreal. Yeah, I did shade him a lot on Sunday morning, and he showed me up. I mean, he threw 4 touchdowns. He also threw 2 interceptions, but I mean, it's whatever. They got to win. Good on them. I mean, I would love him to prove me wrong. A little shaky at first, settled in. Yeah. Esoteric Dragon. What up? What's up? All right. No real IDP questions in there. Some commentary. Thanks for joining me out, Anthony. Appreciate you. Esoteric. Thanks for the hello. Everybody else, you know where to find us. IDPArmy.com. Join our community. Patreon.com/the IDP Army. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. 5-star rating, 5-star review. You already know what it is. IDP index has been updated. We've added some new players. All of the injuries have been put in there. All the snaps have been put in there. We've moved some people around. You know what it is, IDP Army. We out here, we loose, we live in good. So see you tonight at the AMA on Twitter if you come through on that. If you aren't in on that, maybe I'll see you in an underdog draft here in the next day or so. And keep listening to the feed. We got more good shows coming to you at Dynasty Tailgate next 48 hours. OP weekly preview coming out tonight. So that's all for me. See you guys soon.